Yo, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make dark flute samples for Pyrex. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to break down this sample that I made recently. This sample is a part of a sample pack that I just put out. It has 20 samples in this style, a lot of dark stuff, a lot of guitars, flutes, stuff like that. So yeah, all the samples have stems and midis for each instrument. So I'll go ahead and leave a link down in the description for that if you're interested. But like I said, I'm just going to show everything that I did to make the sample. So yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so as you can see, I got the sample pulled up here. I got the final sample down here. We're sitting at 127 BPM, D sharp minor. I'll go ahead and play the finished sample so you can hear how it sounds, and then I'll go ahead and break down everything that I did. You get the point. On the second part, the flute is just up an octave. It's got that Pyrex vibe. It's in the Pyrex BPM range on the higher end. But for Pyrex samples, you usually, I know I said this in other tutorials, but you usually want to be around anywhere from like 110 BPM to like high 120s, maybe 130. That's just the typical range. And I always end up in B minor to like D sharp minor, maybe F minor. For some reason, those are like the best sounding to me. So for this sample, it's just a piano and then a pad and then like a little noise, like vocal noise, then a flute and then a bass, and that's it. So I'll go ahead and break down everything that I did, each part for this sample. So yeah. Alright, so as you can see, I got the piano pulled up here. The piano that I used is the contact piano from Olafur Arnold's. It's called the Felt Grand Piano, the Mike's version. This piano is pretty good. It's got like a dark ambient kind of vibe. So I came up with this pattern for the piano. It's pretty simple. Like I said, right now we're in B minor, and I started with E as the root note. So the first thing that I did is I built this chord here. Simple chord. I started with the root note on E and then just added a B and then another E, and then I just strummed that and repeated it for every bar, and then I added another note on top of that, so F sharp and then G, F sharp and G, just repeats, and then another top line melody above that also just repeats and changes every time. So yeah, that just kind of repeats, and then for the second half it drops down 5 semitones. So this is a good trick for if you're trying to make a dark like chord or melody progression. Just in general, you can drop down the root note, or basically the whole melody, 5 semitones. So as you can see, the root note was at E, 1 2 3 4 5, down to B, and I did it with the whole melody, I think. Yeah, sometimes you need to switch notes around. It's not going to fit perfectly in key, but just in general, 5 semitones down, it'll make it sound really dark, and it's a good way to get a dark progression with your chords or melody. So I'll go ahead and play what the piano sounds like just with no effects. Yeah, as you can hear, the when it drops down, it just sounds really like ominous and dark. For the effects, I added this plugin for delay, the lead delay. I added some reverb, and then I just EQ'd out some of the lows, a lot of the lows, a lot of the highs, and then I think I took out some of the harsh frequencies, yeah. And so this is what it sounds like with the effects. Yeah, as you can hear, just a little bit cleaner with the reverb and the EQ and everything. Okay, and for the second sound, all I did was I duplicated the exact same piano, and then I copied the exact same pattern as well, but I pitched it up an octave, Control A, and then Control up. I just pitched it up 1 octave from the piano. But without the effects, it would just be the same as the first pattern, but just an octave higher. But what I did is I kind of made it into a pad. I just half-timed it, so it sounds like this. And then I added gross beat, reset, and then put it to 50%. So it kind of bounces. And then I added some RC20, some reverb, and then I EQ'd out some of the lows, a lot of the lows, a lot of the highs, and then some of the harsh frequencies in the mid. And then the last thing that I did is I added Valhalla Uber mod, and I use this preset Woozy Synced Reverse, and it adds just like a weird, it kind of reverses it and adds some distortion. So I put that on and put it up to 50%, and then this is what it sounds like with all the effects. So I just kind of wanted that in the background, an octave higher, to just kind of add some ambience and some texture to the piano. So with the piano and then the pad that I made out of the piano, it sounds like this. Thing that I did is I added a vocal from Contact. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened with my FLP, but it's not showing me the exact sound that I had. But I do remember what bank it's from. It's from this Atom Bank Contact library. This bank is really good for ambient sounds like pads, flux, keys, stuff like that. A lot of vocals, just like ambient textures and noises and stuff. So yeah, I grabbed the vocal from that bank, and I came up with this really simple pattern, just follows the root note. And then for effects, yeah, I just added reverb and then gross beat, the same preset with the 1 beat gate, and then EQ'd out the low M. So I have what it sounds like right here. I'll just go ahead and play it. And then it just repeats. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the vocal. Okay, the next thing that I did is I added a flute. I opened up this Fairy Tale flute from Contact. This flute's pretty good, a pretty good like stock preset that I use. I always turn off the reverb because I add my own, and then I just lower the release on it. So I came up with this pattern, pretty simple. Just one note, and then it kind of goes down with these triplet notes, and then it kind of repeats that same scheme but just with different notes to make it sound different, and then it goes up to F sharp and then back down, and then just repeats. For the second part, I just raised it up an octave, so I will go ahead and just play how it sounds with no effects on it. And then, like I said, it just goes up an octave. For effects, I just added some delay. I added a lot of reverb, and then I added this preset from the same plugin. It just makes the sound go back and forth, left and right. So I lowered the amount just so that it kind of like goes from left to right. And then I EQ'd out some of the high end and then a lot of the low end. And this is what it sounds like with the effects. The last sound that I added was just a bass. Really simple pattern, just follows the root note. This is a one shot from a one shot pack. I just controlled the envelope so that the hold's all the way up, everything else is down, make sure it's cutting. And that's pretty much it for the bass. Just put it in mono, and it just sounds like this. So once I had all the sounds and the patterns that I wanted, I just sequenced it out so that the main pattern was at the beginning, and then I have all the stems afterwards separated so that whoever's using the sample can kind of just chop up the stems and use whatever sections that they want. So I'll go ahead and play how it sounds when I brought it back in as an audio file. Yeah, I was really happy with that. Sounds really clean. We were in B minor, and for the final sample, I just pitched it up semitones, so I brought it from B minor to D sharp minor. And the last thing that I did is I put this Maximus on the master just to boost the gain to make it louder. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the sample. Like I said, very dark, ambient. It's got the flute in there, definitely a Pyrex vibe. So I'll go ahead and play the final sample so you can hear it. I have a link down in the description with my most recent sample pack. A lot of samples like this with the flute, guitar, a lot of dark samples. So yeah, hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.